Welcome back to the Mid-Year YouTube channel. In today's episode, I'm going to show you how I start to mock up a convertible Birdcage and start to weld it together to make it a car again. So be sure to stick around. So in the last video you saw, I left off exactly right here with all these parts laid out. Now it's time to start mocking everything up on my chassis or Birdcage table. So first I need to start with the driver and passenger rocker, get those locked into place on the body mounts, make sure they're level, and then we'll start from the front to the back. So I have the base of the Birdcage mocked up for the first time and a real rough mock-up just to get all the pieces on here, make sure that nothing interferes and I have everything close to the right dimension. So I have this corner of the windshield removed. That looks really nice, just a little bit of surface rust that'll clean up. I made my patches over here on the passenger side, just a little piece to fill in what was cut away here. And then originally this piece came the whole way down here and it had a little brace that went on that welded onto the frame. So all I did was extend that tab. So I'm just gonna weld this piece on here and I'll make sure it's located properly. So that way it's got the correct angle, everything fits up nice and tight. So I stayed up last night getting the doors on the car and I'm pretty happy with the way things are shaping up so far. I got a little too complicated with putting the windshield frame in. I only care about two things. One, that the windshield post lines up with the door / the vent window, and two, it needs to hold a windshield. So I eliminated all of the windshield pieces except for the two outer corners, and I first set them in place, tried to get them as close as I could to the vent window to get a nice gap. Same on the other side, and then I put my windshield jig in and then refined it from there and got it pretty close. And I can get the middle cross member in and it lines up with this brace on the Z-bar. So I'm pretty happy with that. I need to do a little bit of trimming on this fiberglass to get this pillar to come out just a little bit. And if you're having trouble getting your pillar to match up with your vent window, make sure the vent window isn't racked one way or the other super far, but also this plate here should be perfectly flat. I have a brand new one here that I got from Paragon and I compared it to what I had and this one dipped. You can see it still dips a little bit. It was going way far downhill, so that was putting my pillar off. And if it's up, it'll push the pillar out. So you can steer your pillar by angling this plate. I've been wrestling around getting the doors shimmed properly, getting the windshield with the proper placement, getting the Z-bar to fit. I have the little strap from the Z-bar up here to the center of the windshield, and I have the center cross member in here with the corners, and my windshield jig is keeping everything square. And I have a pretty nice even gap here. That little bit of adjustment can be taken up with the vent window. I'm pretty happy with that. I also put the inner part of the A-pillar in here, and it's lining up pretty well. So I'm thinking that this pillar is happy. On the passenger side, I need to get a new stud for this vent window. I got the nut off, but I can't really adjust it much. But if I hold it shut and I pull it out, this is where it should be adjusted to. You see I have a nice uniform gap. So I'm happy with the way that turned out. I have the front half of the Birdcage welded up. I have the hinge pillars welded to the rockers, and I have the windshield pillars and the center cross members welded to the pillars. Everything is welded solid for the most part, except where I couldn't get to because of the jig. So I want to, the jig's really not clamped in place, but I want to get the top of the windshield on before I pull the jig, because I can still manipulate this just a little bit. So once I have the top welded on, then I can go and fill in all these extra plug welds, and I'll be happy with that. But I still have one corner that's back ordered, so I'm gonna have to wait a little while for that, unfortunately. But in the meantime, I'm gonna work on the back half of the Birdcage now. So I have my pillars mocked up in place, and I put the covers on them, as well as some strikers, and I had to find some door hardware for that guy from another door. So now I can mock up the doors on here, and the basic goal was just to get, you know, everything latching properly. So I knew the front was exactly where it needs to be. I think the back is close. It may have to move a little bit. I just have one shim in here to start, and then we can move the pillar or change our amount of shims. So I have both doors hinged and latched now, and I had to adjust both of these B pillars just a little bit to get everything to work out. So I just have the one shim in here, and the door closes beautifully. Nice uniform gap the whole way in there. If it's a little bit wide, you can always build that up with bonding adhesive. That's what they did from the factory. And then this one also works pretty nice. So it's nice and solid. I have both B-pillars mostly welded up on the car, as much as I can get to with it on the chassis and with some of this fiberglass in the way. But the doors both open and close real nice. This one just needs a little lubrication. That striker hasn't been used in a long time. But then I just ran some beads in here. I need to get to these plug welds, and then I like to run a bead from the rocker to the inside of the B-pillar right in this area. So once I take this off, I'll do that. So that's my quick overview for how to set up a convertible birdcage. There's still some work to do. As you can see, I still need to install the top of the windshield. I still need to work on the back part of the luggage support and just finish up a couple welds here and there, which you'll see in my next video. But this is mainly how you get the big part set up. But that's gonna do it for this video. If you enjoyed, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. I have a lot of work to do. We're gonna take a little break from this car very soon because we're running low on parts. And I'm gonna dig out my 67 and get started on that in the next couple videos. So I got a lot of work to do, and I'll catch you guys later.